Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next new episode of Broken Knock Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris DePerna. Again, alongside me, the lovely Megan DePerna. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Happy to be here.
Me too.
Excited.
Yeah.
This should be a good one.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of videos from these guys. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside of Megan, Mr. Ken Reese. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, man.
Good.
I had something to bring to you today, and I chose not to bring it because I knew that you would lose all focus.
I would.
That would have
Teasing
set
me.
us off track.
Yeah, so we have Elite Archery as one of our sponsors, and his new bow's in. So
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
it's
It was his Christmas present. He's
Yeah.
known about it because I can't keep anything from him, so I had to tell him I bought it for him. But every single day he's like, I wonder when it's coming. Do you know when it's coming? I'm like, no, I don't.
well, it's sitting in my garage right now, so I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to keep her warm. At least take it inside. Take it into your place tonight.
No,
Yeah, then you'd have a golden doodle eat it or something.
Yeah, that's
so.
true.
I'll leave it right where it's at.
Different kind of dog than the dogs we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, definitely different kind. So yeah, I'll bring it tomorrow. But so with that said, we got a couple guests with us today. Two guys that are avid outdoorsmen, but really big into the predator hunting, and they put out some really cool shit. So this is something, if you're watching or listening, you're definitely going to want to get out there and check out their content because it's pretty badass. That one you just put out with the Eminem music to it was I was digging it. It was cool. So
A little recap of the crazy weekend we had.
So with that said, we have Mr. Darren Hudock with us. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having us down.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and got your partner with you, Mr. Mike Squires. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Doing good?
Yep. Thanks for having us down, as Darren said.
Yeah, appreciate that. Now, you guys go under Keystone Sportsman is kind of your group.
Yep. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube is Keystone Sportsman. That's where most of the videos go. I do post some stuff on to Facebook, and hopefully TikTok stays up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because that's a cool place for your content. I catch a lot of it there. We're lucky to have you guys here tonight. It's a Friday night, and I figured you'd be in a field somewhere wanting to kill something.
yeah, it's raining tonight, so it's a good night.
Yeah.
I'm heading out in the morning, though, so.
Yeah, cool. So how'd you guys get involved in this? I mean, I know you're, avid outdoorsman. I mean, we Ken always likes to ask everybody, how you got started.
Yeah.
I think
just let us know.
and this answer is probably for both of us, is trapping. Trapping coyotes when I was younger. It's how I met. Trapping is how I met Squires. Coyotes have always been intriguing to me, whether when I was like a little tiny kid, I didn't even believe we had them.
Yeah.
And then, once I seen that we had them, started seeing their sign, I've just always been intrigued by them. And then once you try to trap them, hunt them, whatever it is, man, the struggle.
They're smart.
Yeah. They say if, people from PA, the deer here are smart, but
I've said if you can kill a big buck in Pennsylvania, you kill it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
right. I can't speak for that because I've never hunted out of PA, whether it's been for deer or coyotes. But yes, it's they say about the deer in PA, and I always tell people the coyotes in PA are I think they're smart, and they can just jump. They can run 10 feet and hide.
Yeah, it's the pressure.
That's the thing. The environment and the pressure.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely that's my take on it. I mean, I've hunted Ohio, I've hunted Illinois. Been some places where we've seen some good deer and the coyotes, and I don't know. They just seem a little bit. I definitely don't want to say that they're easy to hunt, but I felt like in certain situations because they don't see the same amount of pressure that the amount of hunters that we have in the state of Pennsylvania that are in the woods continuously, whether hunting coyotes or deer or squirrels or coons or something. There's just a lot of pressure they've had to adjust to.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it like right after rifle season. We see it coyote hunting. Like it's just the pressure of the people and these coyotes. It's tough to hunt them during rifle and right after rifle season. I just think it's just so many people out doing deer drives and just being in the woods. It's these coyotes are smart, man.
Yeah, they get more skittish.
They are super skittish. They
Yeah.
really are.
There's a we've been having them on camera and down below my place, a black coyote.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful. Has like a white patch on it. I'll send you a picture. I'll show you pictures.
Give them your
after.
address; they'll take care of it.
I might.
We want him gone because he keeps crossing right in front of where we always set up.
Yeah.
And we said all season, like we're like, if he comes by, like you're shooting him for sure. We had one morning, like it was light, like just starting to get light, and I'm like, he's coming, he's behind you, he's behind you. As soon as he reached for his bow, that he hit the brakes and took
Gone.
off, and
Yeah, they
we've
don't mess
never.
around.
He
And
never
I was
came
like,
back down.
like doing just kind of this, and he was coming down behind me, and it was a different trot. Like she was saying, I was like, that's that coyote. Like that's not a deer trot. That's that
Yeah.
coyote coming down off this hill. And I'm just reaching up real slow, and he looked up and went, just took off. I was
Yeah.
like, God damn.
Yeah,
And we got him on camera. What
Yesterday morning,
But that's the
8:30
first time
a.m.
we've seen him in months.
Man.
He
Daylight
did
at
not
like
come by
8:30.
that camera
I'm a
since
sucker
then.
for those colorful coyotes. I love them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't got a colorful coyote yet.
I'm trying. I know where a couple are, and I've been like, we went there a couple weeks ago.
Just can't get onto.
No.
So how long you been hunting, Mike? With
So-
while hunting and trapping yourself, and then with this guy here.
Me and Darren, I think we've been hunting 3 years now, going on 4 years.
Yeah.
It was a cool story how we met. I actually met trapping,
Yeah.
as Darren said. I pulled up on a farm just right down the road from my house, and a couple winters leading up to that, I'm like, I'd like to get into predator trapping and start catching some coyotes because not a lot of people do it in our area, and didn't really know who to go to or talk to or what have you, but had some buddies in it, and they're like, hey, if you get some property, we'll come give you a hand and show you how we do things and see if it works. So I got to the farm, and of course the landowner was there, and asked him if I could get some permission to trap, and he said, well, I got good news and bad news. And I'm like, what's that, Mark? He goes, I just gave a fella permission yesterday to trap the farm. He said, however, he said, I'll give you his number. You contact him. He said, I got enough property you both can trap. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So on my way home, I gave Darren a call, introduced myself, and Darren said, I'm glad you called because I'm going to go set traps tomorrow. He said, how about you meet me at 7 in the morning? And we did have another fella that came with us that day that wanted to see how Darren did things. And that was the first time that I'd set some traps in my first year trapping, and actually caught a few coyotes. And me and Darren's been best friends ever since.
It's awesome. So there's a lot to it, the trapping. I mean, it's not just a matter you just don't grab a trap off the shelf and walk
that's
out in
a
the woods,
full-time
set it
job.
down. I mean, go into that a little bit, like what it takes to get that smart animal to believe that there's no problem that he's coming.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. You've got a pan on a trap that's just a little metal pan, about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's not very big. And that coyote might travel 30 miles in his home range. You're trying to get that coyote to step on that 1-inch pan. It's extremely tough.
Yeah.
I used to be more successful with trapping coyotes than I am hunting them. I was terrible at both at one point. It took me 6 years to kill one, but it just that right there goes to show you. I mean, you got to put a lot of time, definitely in the trapping. I mean, PA's weather's terrible. I mean, one day it's nice, one day it's raining, and it's just you're constantly out there resetting your traps. We got a lot of coons. We're overpopulated with coons in this area.
I was going to ask
you
that.
You got to clean the garbage out before you get the good stuff. So them coons are getting in there before the coyotes.
Oh yeah,
They run right into
I've
it.
caught them with marshmallows.
Yeah, so you got a lot to work with trapping. It's a full-time job whether you're running 5 traps or you're running 75 traps. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Now, what's like for you or just in general, like the number one like bait that you would use to bring in a coyote?
So there's the bait. You got your bait. You got your lure. So your lure is what catches their attention. From long distances away, they smell that real potent lure. A lot of your baits made with ground up beaver. I would say that's like probably number one thing that's probably ground up is, the beaver. Because a lot of your trappers trap beaver, and they can use the
So it's
beaver
like beaver caster.
It's the caster.
Correct, yeah.
I've used that to hunt deer before, but I've actually used beaver caster, and deer would come to it.
Yeah.
I don't remember where the hell I heard it, but I'm like, I'm up for trying anything.
Well, listen, all them scents they sell, all these doe pee, all this stuff, leave that stuff on the shelf. Go get yourself some trapping lure and just put a little bit on a Q-tip and go put it out in front of your deer stand or put it in front of your trail camera. Every deer in the area is going to be on that thing sniffing it. It is. I could show you pictures right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's every night.
Right.
They don't stop. They keep coming to it. And I mean, deer step in your traps all the time. That's another thing is they step in your traps.
Oh.
I mean, over the years, luckily, I've only actually had to release one of them. It was a littler deer, and it was able to actually get a hold of its by its joint, and it held it in there. It didn't hurt it at all, but normally they just pull right out.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I think
We just talked about that.
We were just talking about that.
You set traps, and I think it's the visual attraction of the fresh dirt for the deer. Obviously, they smell it, and I run a lot of trail cams on some of my sets to see what's going on for observation, and those deer are there constantly, just sniffing, checking it out, and then every once in a while they step in it, and there you go, got to go remake the set again. But as Darren said, curiosity is what brings them in there.
Right.
And they're not afraid of it. And deer are not afraid of the coyotes, clearly either.
Yeah, I wondered that. Now, I saw in the one video you had where you had a pile of deer first. And then
They help us out.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, from the same spot the deer were, here comes a coyote.
That's what they help us out. I have a lot of property owners, and hey, I respect it. It's their property. They say, if from September on through deer season, don't hunt. That's fine. Completely respect it. We have a lot. I mean, probably 60% of our properties is like that. Now, if you went hunting with me, and I hit that coyote hound, you saw what them deer do. They don't care.
Yeah.
And here sometimes I have deer. The other night I was with guys that are very, very intelligent in the woods, very good trappers, and he's just not familiar with being behind thermal. Well, we had a deer running into the call. Well, naturally, you see something running at the call, you think it's a coyote. And he gets on it, he's pumped. He's like, just let me know when. I'm like, never, it's a deer.
Yeah, don't do that.
But they don't, for one, they might sometimes, if I put something really aggressive on, like a fight sound that's really aggressive and snarling, they might move out throughout the field and get a couple 100 yards away.
Right.
But by the end of the set, they're peeking up over the hill like, hey, can I come eat?
Yeah.
They're coming back. And then another thing, like that video you're talking about, is what we watch for a lot of times is I'll get a head count of those deer that are in the field. Okay, one left. Okay, now I got 4 more left. All right, that one left, and he went over here. Now I got to watch when he comes out that we don't think it's a coyote or something. You just got to always be, especially with thermal, you got to be really careful. And what we'll do is them coyotes will be coming. Them deer let us know before, like that night, for instance, them coyotes were turning around looking back in the woods, and I knew probably 2 minutes prior to that coyote even showing itself that coyote was coming.
Right.
And because we had actually wind blowing from right to left, but kind of over my shoulder, so that wind was hitting. I mean, them deer were smelling that coyote down there, so we knew he was coming, and that's why I was filming so far in advance, watching them deer come.
Yeah,
he was
it
coming.
was cool because it was like you knew, you knew he was going to come that way. So those deer do that all the time. They kind of give you that notice per se. That they're coming.
I mean, the biggest thing that spooks them, I guess, and especially coming into we're deer hunters. So if I see, especially in summer when you could see the blood flowing through the antlers, if we see a big buck on someone's property, we're not going to push that buck off your property. We literally. I mean, I've walked off of properties his target buck is standing 200 yards where I'm going to bump it. I'm going to get back in the truck and leave. I'm not going to do that. But if I got bucks out there in the field at 400 yards that I know they're not going to smell me, that coyote howl's not. You're going to do worse by walking into that field than that coyote howl going off. They hear it every night.
Yeah.
Right. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They hear really good, and them coyotes are howling every single night.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's on the property you're hunting or not, they're hearing it.
Yeah.
It's a common sound to them.
You set up for coyotes with wind direction also?
Yeah, that's number one thing.
Okay. Yeah, that was an assumption, but you talking about kind of
that's
that wind direction.
That's absolutely. I mean, we hang strings off our gun because here at PA, the wind's always shifting. So, you might be on a stand where you might, we're not there long. We're only there 20, 25 minutes at the max. But in that time, that wind might change 3 times. And when it really matters is when that coyote's coming in. So, you want to pay attention.
So the calls that you use, like distress calls, I'm assuming, or like
no, actually,
what? Because I've heard some people say like a turkey distress call.
So
certain times of the year,
I used to use a lot of distress, and not saying that it doesn't kill. I use we killed that one year. We killed it was like 105 coyotes. I think only 5 coyotes were killed.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too because you guys do some killing.
Yeah,
I mean that's a lot
but
of
I think
freaking coyotes, man.
5 of those coyotes that year were killed with prey distress. It's all vocals and
when you say vocals, like,
and I'll dive into that a little bit. So, and with like what I try to explain to people, and when I say this, it's different everywhere. I've never hunted out of PA, so this is what works for us here. And this is probably something that raises a big argument with other people because you can kill with a rabbit, with a bird. You can go out there and kill coyotes every single night like that. This is just my opinion. Coyotes hear what I just said about them deer. They hear them coyotes every single night. So coyotes howling is not a foreign sound to them at all.
right?
So I try to use a lot of vocals, and not only like for that reason, just not to educate them too. If they do come, come in, that rabbit squealing for 2 minutes to 5 minutes that you've got squealing sitting there, that's a foreign sound to you. It's a foreign sound to a coyote.
Yeah, makes
so
sense.
he comes in and has a bad experience to that. Whether he wins you miss him. Well, what happens when you're training your 6-month-old dog and you've took him for a walk for the past 3 weeks? He starts learning the word walk. True. You know what I mean? So,
right.
It's like you created a positive impact in your dog's life. You're creating a negative impact in that coyote's life to a foreign sound that he might hear a little bit while he's flipping that thing through the air, playing with it in the field, but they usually snap their neck so quick.
Right.
Not saying they don't hear it, but I just think it's my opinion again, but I think it's a foreign sound to them, and it does more harm than good when you're out hunting as much as we do. I'm hunting 6 nights a week if I can, so I'm not hunting the same properties by any means,
right.
But I just think that the vocals is absolutely been a game changer now that all these companies have been recording these coyotes and coming out with these really good sounds.
So you're talking about like coyote, like yips and howls and so that stuff that I was hearing in the video is actually your recordings.
Them
not the live dogs. You're using those recordings to bring the live dogs in.
Correct. And what you're doing is what I mean by vocals is, your lone howls vocals, your pair howls, your serenades, your distress, anything vocally coming from that coyote.
Makes it sound like a party. You want them to show up.
And you have your social interaction sounds that are kind of like a fight, but it's not real aggressive. Then you have your aggressive fights. Those are all in the lineup of coyote vocals. And what I mean by coyote vocals, like some people might get confused on some of my videos when I say vocals, because it's really hard for me to get into depth, like through a text message or a message on Facebook. When I say vocals, that's what I mean is, lone howls, pair howls, they're all triggers, and that's what you're trying to do is trigger a coyote. And to trigger a coyote, you have to trigger his instincts, and food's one of them. If you want to go that route, you can. We try to save that route for if we have to coax a coyote that, we might have one that's up in the field that's sitting there, just doesn't want to come
right,
and close that distance, we might turn a bird on then. Because it's only going on for 5-10 seconds, and he's already in the field. We just need him to come a little bit closer or something. I'll turn it on then.
Right.
But yeah, it's mainly the coyote vocals is key, man. It's and you could go off of, you can listen to coyotes and tell, like, if I get a coyote that just like lone howls back, I might not get aggressive right away with him. It kind of tells me, it's just like turkey hunting in a way, how to respond to them. And
yeah, I guess that's true.
Make
it's
it
like
small
turkey
talk.
or just like deer hunting. I mean you're using you could use food.
Just
in
trying
states that it's legal, but
when we go out, we're just trying to paint a picture that's believable to the coyotes that there's a coyote or two in the field that are, messing around.
Right.
And like what I mean by them social interactions, that's just like it sounds just like a fight, but it's just not really, really aggressive. And they're just sitting there,
Right.
playing around, and that's their like when you grab a toy and play with your dog, that dog's happy, but he's still sitting there, growling.
Right.
And so it's like that's
pretty
an
cool. I never
interaction
thought
with
of it that way. I just thought it, of coyote, like predator hunting was mainly just you're bringing them in because there's an animal there they're coming to eat.
I have a
It's not
button
always
on
the
my
case.
call, and it's like you could just hit a button and it'll just play a sound at a certain volume, and it's just real quick for like if you don't want to go through, if you don't have time to go through your remote. I have it set up as a bird, just because if I get a coyote that, like, if I'm walking into a field and I got a coyote that's 300 yards mouse in the field, then I'll use, it makes sense to, he's mousing, he's hunting right in front of you. It makes sense to throw on, something he's hunting, mouse or bird or a rabbit. Then we kill them like that all the time, but majority of the time, if we're going into a stand that we know coyotes are there, I'm not starting out with prey distress. Some people do. Especially this time of year, you got bobcats. It's bobcat season, so a lot of prey distress is being played right now. But honestly, it's just that was the game changer for me. I'm not against it. I still kill them off of it, but it took me so long to start killing them, and then it was like I learned these coyote vocals, and it's been a game changer. It really has.
Is there a certain volume level that would be too high that they would notice, like, that's not right? I've heard people talking about that. I didn't know if that's.
I just, like, I always tell people, I don't know, man, we've killed them, having that call ripping before too. It just depends on what it's doing, what the noise outside's doing. If you've got
Weather.
traffic, weather, the wind,
Yep.
You got it. Sometimes I got that one we killed up the mountain that night in that wind. We were looking at, I was holding my gun from blowing over, and I'm like, we ain't killing nothing, and it was like 15 minutes in, we're getting ready to call it, and here comes a coyote. I'm like, how did he hear it?
Right.
And the wind just ripping.
Howling through there, and he still heard it.
There's many times we'll hit a lone howl, pair howl, something to trigger the coyotes, and you'll hear them off at a distance. And I ask them all the time, how in the world did they hear
hear it.
us?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they can hear really well.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
But to circle back to what you had asked, and Darren kind of with the food instance, there's three things that coyotes are looking for. It's food. They're very territorial. So when you come in with other sounds of coyotes into their area, then that's whenever,
That's a territorial instinct that
like
you're triggering.
you're
any
triggering
animal
them
seems to be that
because
way.
somebody's moving into
Deer.
their territory.
Yeah, right.
It's super effective with the coyotes, though. I mean, they're just ready to fight at all. The females, the males, that's what they want. They're ready to fight at all times.
For sure.
Now, is there any truth to? I've heard that if you kill coyotes, they it triggers them to breed again. Is there like
Probably. We're still killing them. I mean,
I know. I guess that's true.
It's true.
So
they don't stop, man. It's really it's wild.
Yeah, so I guess that leads me into my next question then. How many now the 1 year you killed, you said
105.
105 in 1 year. Now is that I'd say that's probably a pretty successful year. Is it or what would be like your normal number if that was, or is that a pretty normal number for you guys?
The year after that was 85. Then this past year was 78. So
okay. So you're still up there. It's not like you have a year where it's like 25 or 30, and then all of a sudden you just had a year with 100. I mean,
no, it's putting a lot of legwork in. I mean,
I'll bet. Yeah. Now,
it's
when you say hunting Pennsylvania, is it mainly just southwestern PA?
Yeah. Well, southwestern PA. There's a couple of them come out of Elk County. I have a camp up there, but
Okay.
No, one actually come out of there. So yeah, mainly southwestern PA. We've got a lot covered here. I mean.
So for anybody that thinks there's not that many coyotes in southwestern PA, there's a lot.
There's a
There's a
ton.
lot.
Yeah.
There's tons.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'm sure you probably run into other coyote hunters and that around.
There's a ton of
There's
those
a lot
too.
of coyote hunters,
Yeah.
believe it or
Ton
not.
of those too. Yeah,
We have
which is
a
good.
group of guys that hunt with dogs that are very successful.
Yeah.
Those guys will put a lot of numbers up each year.
The year we killed 105, they killed 106.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the dogs just run them then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
They run them
I
with the
didn't know
dogs and then
that was
shoot
a-
them with shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
So with the dogs, they just open the truck doors and they just smell them.
I don't know how that works, but yeah, I mean, it's basically very similar. I think they run them like bear.
Yeah.
Well, I do know they
Besides,
ride around.
they don't tree them.
That's true. They have a truck call. So they'll go out and they'll locate the coyotes.
Okay.
They'll ride roads at night, 4:30, 5 o'clock because they need to day hunt. So they'll locate where those coyotes are. And they'll know when it gets daylight, this is where we're going. And then they head in there and cut those dogs loose. And
Very effective.
it's something that I've never done. I think I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
To just a new experience.
Yeah, I wonder
A
how
new
they
experience.
train those dogs. Like as pups, like what do they?
So I know a friend of mine lives in North Carolina. He's a live trapper, and they trap coyotes live. They sell them on the live market, so they go into pens, and that's what they do. They run these coyotes in these pens. So I got to assume that that's
Okay.
where they're taking these dogs, where there's multiple coyotes in there.
It's got to just be exposure, and then they have to
For
have
sure.
insane recall. Because if you're sending a dog out, they're just as territorial too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
She's
I
been
think
to
he's
some.
running. What's he got? Like 20 dogs or something?
Is there a certain breed that's like the best at it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Them guys have invited me. I just haven't. I'm so busy with hunting at night, and I haven't made it out with them yet. Would like to see how it's done, but I've never. The only thing I've hunted with dogs was coons back when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty crazy.
I keep telling. So we have a Great Pyrenees.
Oh.
And I tell her all the time, I just want to see it once. I want to see her fight something. Like, I want to see her just fight a coyote.
she
wanna
would
see
fuck
it so
something up
bad.
if she had the
Why don't
chance
you-
for sure.
let her after that black one. She'll bring it back.
Because we'll let her out, and she'll just stop, and she'll stand in the yard. We have a just enclosed fence yard. And she'll just sit there, and she'll smell the air.
Why don't you just
all
let
night.
your
And you'll see
chihuahua
her,
out? He'll
she'll-
go get him.
But she'll run the fence line. You let her out there, and she goes she gets as soon as she's outside at night, she's in work mode.
We
Tell her
used
all
to
the
hunt. We used to hunt a property. He lost a good bit. What was it, lamb or sheep?
18 sheep. He just put a post on
That's what I was just
Facebook.
gonna say.
Somebody took a picture. He has two,
He has 2 of them.
and he leaves them loose.
We
and
have-
he told the people, these dogs come and eat every day. They have collars on them. Leave them alone.
We have a friend
That's what
that
they're for.
they have 3 of them that are out there with their sheep, and they're just so cool to see them actually work. Because mine, she was somebody's house pet, and I took her in, and
I was
she's
just
she's
surprised
never
how
been
far
on a
they
farm
rode.
ever.
Oh.
Yeah,
They disappear.
Yeah, they don't come back for days. Like you see, like the people that have all the property and the farms out west. They have videos of their Pyrenees coming back after like 3 days or something like that, just muddy and
That's crazy.
they're cool dogs. That's
Yeah,
what
that is.
I tell her all the time. It's like I just want to see it once.
Is it a gentle giant?
Yeah.
I've never been around.
Yeah.
She's-
Oh yeah.
yeah.
She thinks she's a lap dog sometimes. It's like, oh, she takes the breath off you, you know. And then she knows how to lay her weight. Like if she wants to get up on you on the couch
she's
and
got
you
her.
don't let her, she just dead weight right on you. It's like, God damn it.
they're so interesting though, because they go from like they want your attention and your affection, and they want to nap and hang out, and then the second that there's something that gets them going, she can get aggressive fast. Like
Yeah.
it's like it snaps all of a sudden. They're very interesting dogs.
Yeah.
But they do not have good recall, so they would not be good coyote hunting dogs. If you want her to come back inside, you're going after her. She's not coming back on her own.
Especially when there's snow on the ground.
Well, that's like, and I mean, glad you guys brought that up, is because like a big thing with thermal hunting is, I mean, just imagine that coyote here. I mean, that dog hears coyotes. What we got to worry about is that dog coming into our call, a domestic dog,
Right.
coming into our call, and that's where, I always recommend to people when buying thermal, like, hey, don't cheap out. Like, the main thing, the number one question to everybody's like, well, can I get this one? It's cheaper.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a cheap thermal and a better
There's
quality?
a huge difference. There's a difference. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are selling, like right now, the thermal has come a long way in the past, 5 years. A long way.
Yeah.
That's price and everything. But you have, your different resolutions, your 384, your 640, your 1280. And of course, the higher the resolution, the better the picture. You have some companies that are selling these 384s that are, you can't, they're blurry.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's bad. And, you know, when you're calling a canine in, you know, coyote, and, you know, you got one of those dogs up there, some of these thermals you ain't going to be able to tell in certain situations, you know, in quick situations. Sometimes you got 10 seconds to shoot this coyote.
Right.
You know, I always, the first thing I tell people is you got 10 seconds to figure something out before it figures us out and it's gone.
Right.
You know, they don't mess around for long. So, you know, that being said, is like number one thing we're looking at is, you know, domestic dogs, they, you know, their tails curl up. Their posture and cadence is completely different than a coyote. You can tell a coyote especially if you've been hunting them and been around them.
Right, you learn them.
But I also, regardless if you know a coyote or not, I always say, you know, don't cheap out on thermal. If you're going to thermal hunt, you know, you're hunting around livestock, you're hunting around people's animals, you're hunting at night, period.
Right.
You know, it's
you want the best you can get.
That, I mean, yeah, and it's you just want to make sure you know what you know.
Right.
There's companies out there that are selling. I don't even think they should be selling them. They're really, you know, they're really low resolution and poor quality. They really are. So it just, if you're looking for thermal, you know, take the time, do some research. There's some really good thermals, some really good prices. I bought my first 384 for like $3,800. Now you could get 640 for $3,500.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could get really good thermal. It's coming down in price, but just make sure you do your research and, you know, get something that you're going to be able to tell what you're shooting at. That's the main thing is.
Yeah, I know the videos I've watched that you guys put out. I mean, it's like nighttime movies. I mean, they're really good quality. I mean, they're cool as hell to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, it's addicting. And those, you see a lot of times, some coyotes have no idea you're there.
They don't.
Yeah.
What's cool is they take off and run a little bit, and they stop. You can still see them. You know where they're at.
That's
just badass.
I mean, we started shooting.
I was gonna say you want to grab that rifle, and then you can just kind of use the table here and
you want to put it up front.
Yeah, just a little bit of show and tell what you guys use, and
lower the tripod even in the front or something.
Probably not that long.
What kind of?
But no, like I was saying, like you said about the coyotes, you know, they run a little bit there, and they'll stop again.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I mean, we kill a lot of doubles like that, and we actually call. A lot of people don't realize how many coyotes get called back in after we shoot.
right.
We started shooting diligent defense suppressors. That makes a huge difference. I don't care what anybody says for the comfort, you know, being comfortable behind the gun. It takes, you know, recoil off your gun. It's helping, you know, you go hunt. I come to your place to hunt your property. You don't even know I'm there. My call's louder than the gun is.
Wow.
And the coyotes don't know where that sound's coming from. So it's like one thing we notice is when we're shooting these coyotes, a couple of times they're like running back at us and they don't know exactly where that sound's coming from. So that's a huge, I'd say a huge part of, now that I've got behind it and, you know, started shooting a suppressor, I don't want to shoot a gun without it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I really don't.
1 second. You want to check, make sure, because him standing in that camera angle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Make
You're
sure
a taller guy. Really's picking it up on your camera. Good? All right, cool.
But
We'll just run your review for now. Sweet.
But yeah, like you were saying about the tripods.
Yeah. So what kind of tripod is that?
This is a double tap tripod. It is like you were saying, it's carbon fiber. Very, very solid. I run a ball head on it. A couple people, you know, they might like a leveling head. It's basically the same thing, same concept but you might only get like this much out of a leveling head, as in you get just a lot more range of motion out of this. So I'd say like target shooters, it might be a little bit more steady with the leveling head, but not much. I prefer the ball head on them. It's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, I would imagine you want to try to keep things as light as possible.
Yeah.
Because you never know where you're going to end up traveling to while you're out there.
Yeah, that's what SIG built a really good gun. This is a SIG cross gun. It's like 6.7 pounds.
Nice.
So it's a bolt gun, 6.5 Creedmoor. It might be a little bit overkill on coyotes, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's perfect. I got a 223 set up for him too, and I won't take a 223 if it's just me hunting by myself. It's like I've put perfect shots on coyotes with 223 and still watch him run 200 yards. So it's he runs 243. I run 6.5. There's a lot of good calibers for coyotes out there.
Yeah.
A lot of fun calibers out there.
What's the scope that you're running on there?
So this is an infrared or iRay. iRay is the United States side of infrared. But it's a RH50R. It's a 640 resolution, 3-power base mag, LRF. It has a long rangefinder in it. It also has a ballistic calculator in it. It's like cheating. So you could range something at 600 yards, and it instantly gives you your drop.
Yeah.
It gives you a little reticle that shows up for your not it doesn't factor in wind or anything like that. Of course, it just gives you your drop. But with these 6.5s at like 500 NIM, the wind really doesn't bother us at all. It's super.
It's a nice round.
It's a very efficient round for coyotes.
Shoots pretty flat.
Yeah, 100 grain varmint ammo out of it. And
Okay.
Yeah,
it's amazing. The 6.5, when I killed my antelope with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and I went out with my dad to Wyoming, and we were shooting the day before at 200 yards, and we were at like a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind. My dad took his 1903 A4 Springfield from like World War II because he wanted to kill a antelope with a World War II rifle, and he did. He killed one. But in that crosswind, it pushed his 30-06 bullet 8 inches to the left.
wow.
That 6.5 Creedmoor didn't even touch it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dead nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The guide was like, "What is that?" It's
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
6.5 Creedmoor, man. The thing zips.
Is that fine right there?
Yeah, that thing's cool there.
Yeah.
I just have one last question. If
Yeah.
I wanted a rig like this, if I wanted to go buy a rig like this to
Yeah.
start, where would I be at price-wise on something like that sitting there?
Oh, $7,000-8,000. Yeah,
I gotta save my money.
I mean,
Well, you don't
I
need
mean, no,
tree
I mean-
stands. You don't need tree stands. you know.
Hell yeah.
to be honest, it's like I don't want to say this is a cheap rifle by any means. It's a SIG rifle. It's a good rifle, but for a chassis gun, it's really hard to find a chassis gun that's lightweight and that's a price point like this. I think I paid $1,700, $1,800 for just the rifle, but it's 6.7 pounds. And you go to look at any chassis rifle, you're looking at like 10 pounds to 15 pounds. And I mean, I didn't want that, a gun that heavy. I don't want a 10-pound gun.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm just doing a lot of walking.
Right,
there,
right.
So they really do. They come out with like for the price, you can't beat the SIG. He's getting ready to pull the trigger on one. But yeah, I'd say $8,000 there. I mean, I'm doing some quick math on
Right.
some stuff, and
So would you say probably if somebody was getting into it and they had half of that to spend, they'd probably want to put it more into the scope than anything, I would think.
yeah. So I always tell people, because there's the scanner. You have
Yeah,
your
that's the other
binoculars.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to, we can even put that behind him. That way the cameras aren't.
I'm on a leash here.
There you go.
So we're a little bit. I mean, oh crap! I lost the.
Banners falling down there.
So me and him both, we run the helmet mounts. You do not by any means, and when I say the price tag on that, you do not. That's not what you need to get into it. Just we do this a lot.
Right.
So
Yeah, sure.
This is our hobby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we look a little crazy out there, but this is what we're wearing. Keeps your hands nice and warm. Your hands are always in your pockets, and it's always right here. You just flip it down, and that's what I'm scanning with all night long.
Wow.
But I always tell people, how you were asking, is, what should I buy first? The scanner. Well, you can't shoot a coyote with a scanner.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
This is true.
Right.
So I always say, most important thing to get into it's going to be your scope. And And then, like, I mean, there's great rifles out there. The rifle he's using right now is on, he put it on a chassis, but that rifle, brand new, is $500.
It's a Ruger American.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Shoots
shoot
lights
great.
out.
Those,
Yeah.
I read
Shoots lights
so
out.
many reviews on those rifles, and I have not read one bad one.
No, they shoot great.
Guys
so
love those
Yep.
rifles.
get yourself one of the, a Ruger Predator, in a decent caliber for coyotes, and get yourself I would say $3,000 thermal.
Yeah.
And so most of your money's going to be in your thermal, but you got to understand you're putting thermal on a gun. It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't cheap out, like I said. Do your reviews, and another main thing is pick a company that has a good warranty.
Right.
It's electronic. Stuff is going to happen. Don't be mad when it does, because it's going to happen. You're out there beating the heck out of it in the elements. I mean, just get something with a good, reliable, not just because it says it's a 4-year, 5-year warranty. Get something that has some reviews that they back the warranty, because there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's I guess there's other ways that you can go out even without thermal. I guess there's you have lights, different types of red lights or things like that. Do you use them in conjunction with thermals, or is that just
No,
that's just
it hasn't.
is that kind of going away now? Guys hunting that way with
I mean, no, there's still people out there hunting with lights, but yeah, it's definitely fading out because of the price of night vision, and thermal is so cheap now. Not cheap, but cheaper.
yeah.
But I would say definitely the light companies are probably taking a little bit of hurting from all these thermals.
Yeah, I could imagine it's got to be a hell of a lot harder. I mean, so in a lot of your videos, those coyotes are 300, 400, 500 yards out there, and you can see them, clear as day. I mean, I don't imagine with the lights that you've got that much success.
No.
No.
And I mean, that's another argument for people. This is just my opinion. I hunted with red lights for years. I've called dogs in. I've had I probably educated every coyote in Fayette County. I probably did. I would call them in. If it could go wrong, it went wrong. And I definitely
So
educated.
they see those lights.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's, I got better as I went on with light hunting and figuring out that, you moving that light around it, or, zoomed all the way into that real focused beam
Right.
and stuff. You can't be doing that. They're definitely going to see it. If you pan it out and have that field lit up and have that light in that coyote's eyes as they're coming in, and don't take it out, then I think you're just blinding them at that point.
Right.
Rather than them
See,
not
I've
seeing it.
I've kinda
I
always-
don't believe that they cannot see it. I'm not a believer of that.
Yeah. I've always kind of wondered, on the deer hunting side of it, like if that was just a gimmick, like the red and the green lights. Oh, the deer can't see you as good if you walk in with a red light versus a regular white flashlight. Or, I mean, I don't
Why
know
are
how
they
much.
looking at you?
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
Believe me, I do think there's something to it, to where I think it's a dollar light to them. It's not probably as obvious. I do, but I don't think you're not getting past the smarts of them animals, man.
No.
And not with a red light. Not with a
I mean,
green.
I've gone in already with no lights. Usually, if I can, especially if I know exactly where the hell I'm going, I try not to use any light at all. Just
Yeah,
a
and that's what we
moonlight or
try to
whatever.
do hunting, is now that we have the thermal, we keep lights off.
Yeah.
We do. We keep the lights off. Walking in. We're really good at walking in the dark with our eyes closed. I mean, I fell the other night real hard, though.
Yeah, he did.
I took a
He was
hard-
down.
I would imagine you just got to worry about like some groundhog holes or something, maybe.
That's what it gets you.
Do blooper reels.
That's
Yeah,
what
We
that's
could have had one if we was video.
my knee's still hurting from it. I just
Yeah.
overextended it when I took a step, and
Yeah.